Imagine this, you wake up. The sky is gently lit with the colors of a sunrise, amber, gold, a soft lavender stretching across the horizon. You breathe in the morning air. Everything seems normal. Birds sing, coffee brews, people drive to work. And then a quiet voice inside you whispers, "This is it. Today is your last day." Suddenly everything changes. The way the wind touches your skin, the way your fingers hold the cup, the way you look at your mother, your child, your partner. Time slows, your mind sharpens, and what once seemed ordinary becomes sacred. No more delaying that call you meant to make. No more scrolling, comparing, distracting. No more time for shallow conversations, for grudges, for the illusion that life is on hold until tomorrow. Because tomorrow won't come. Now pause. Really feel this. If this were your last sunrise, how would you live differently? Would you be kinder? Would you finally forgive? Would you drop the armor, the ego, the noise, and let your heart speak? Most people don't live, they exist. They plan, they worry, they wait. They assume there's still time, but time isn't promised. It never was. The Buddha didn't teach death to scare us. He taught death to wake us up, to pull us out of the trance, to shake us gently and say, "See, everything you're clinging to will vanish." But that's not tragedy, it's liberation. Impermanence isn't a curse. It's the reason why this moment matters. It's the reason why the smile of a child, the stillness of a leaf, or the warmth of a friend's hand, it feels so unspeakably beautiful. They're not here forever, which means they're here now. So we are invited, not commanded, but invited, to live not in fear of the end, but in the light of it. To live each day with the quiet knowing, this could be the last time I walk this road. The last time I close my eyes to sleep. The last time I say I love you. What would shift if you lived that way? The truth is, the only thing separating you from death is a single breath. And no one, not the wise, not the wealthy, not even the most virtuous, gets to skip that truth. Yet, that's not depressing, that's freeing, because it means this breath right here, right now, is everything the modern world tells us to chase, to hustle, to build resumes, collect experiences, save for later. But Buddhism whispers something different. It says, later is a dream, come back, come home, come here. We fear death because we fear we haven't lived. But those who live fully, moment by moment, breath by breath, they don't fear the end because they've already tasted what's eternal. It's not somewhere else. It's not in heaven or another life. It's right here, in the unfiltered now, in the light on your skin, in the sound of your own breath, in the presence that arises when you let go of everything you thought mattered and instead be. You don't need a terminal diagnosis to start living. You just need to remember that you were never guaranteed another sunrise, but you have this one. Let it break your heart open. Let it burn away your excuses. Let it teach you the difference between surviving and truly, deeply, unapologetically living. This is not a rehearsal, so love, forgive, create, listen, sit quietly under a tree, hold someone's hand without checking your phone, breathe with your whole body, not because it's poetic, but because it's real. Because no matter what you believe about the afterlife, this life is the only one you're living right now. You don't get to choose when you die, but you do get to choose how you live. And if you live fully, with awareness, with kindness, with courage, then even if today is your last, it will also be your most alive. Somewhere inside you already know this. You've just forgotten. But the truth is, everything that begins ends. Everything you love will fade. Every moment will pass. But in that passing, in that letting go, something else appears. A clarity, a freedom, a quiet golden truth. And once you see it, you'll never look at a single breath the same way again. And so we return to the root of all things, not to cling, but to see that the end is not the enemy. It is the mirror that shows you what really matters. The question is not, how much time do I have? The question is, how present am I with the time I've been given? Because in that presence, life no longer slips through your fingers, it becomes yours. This is where our journey begins. Not in the fear of death, but in the beauty of knowing that nothing lasts. And because of that truth, everything matters. There's a whisper we all carry, a quiet, persistent voice that says, not now, later, there's still time. So we wait to say what we truly feel. We wait to pursue what matters. We wait to heal, to rest, to love without holding back. We tell ourselves, I'll slow down after this project. I'll apologize next week. I'll meditate when life gets less busy. I'll be happy when everything finally lines up. But tomorrow is a myth we tell ourselves. A story we've repeated so often we've mistaken it for truth. We live as though we've been promised infinite time. But no one, not kings, not monks, not lovers, has ever received such a promise. The Buddha once said, "The trouble is you think you have time." How many moments have you postponed, thinking there would be another chance? A mother puts off playing with her child because dinner must be made. A man walks past a dying tree every day but never pauses to notice the way it reaches for light, even in decay. A woman carries an old resentment for years, thinking she'll forgive someday. And then one day the child grows. The tree falls. The person she resented is gone, and someday becomes too late. But this isn't about guilt. It's about waking up. Because the truth is, life is not lived in grand declarations or future milestones. It's lived in this moment. This breath, this choice. When the Buddha taught mindfulness, he wasn't suggesting we simply be aware of the present. He was inviting us to see through the illusion that life exists anywhere else but now. That illusion is thick. It tells us our joy is in the next achievement. That meaning will come after we finish what's urgent. That peace is something we'll get around to when things finally calm down. But you and I know the truth. Things never really calm down. There's always more to do, more to chase, more to worry about, and less. We stop and ask, what am I postponing and why? What keeps us trapped in the story of tomorrow is fear. Fear of failing, fear of being seen, fear of missing out, fear of letting go. So we hide behind our busyness. We decorate our cages with to-do lists and distractions, and we call it productivity. But inside, something aches. That ache is your soul remembering what it came here for, to feel, to love, to wake up, to live not later but now. In Buddhism, we speak of sati, mindful awareness, but it's not passive. It's a radical returning, a courageous act of seeing clearly even when it's inconvenient or uncomfortable. And when you return to this moment, you realize everything you were chasing was already here. You were just too busy reaching for tomorrow. Story after story has been told about people at the end of their lives. And almost all of them say the same thing. It's not the things they did that haunt them. It's the things they didn't do, the words they didn't say, the love they withheld, the sunsets they missed because they were too busy answering emails. No one says, I wish I had spent more time at the office. I wish I had scrolled more. I wish I had waited longer to follow my heart. No, they say, I wish I had lived, really lived. The truth is, life never begins tomorrow. It begins the moment you stop waiting, when you realize that every later is a gamble, that your loved ones are not permanent fixtures, that your own breath is a temporary visitor, that even your thoughts, moods, and identity are passing clouds. Then everything becomes more sacred. And when life becomes sacred, even the ordinary glows. A sip of tea becomes a ceremony. A walk down the street becomes a pilgrimage. A hug becomes a holy act. And silence becomes a kind of prayer. That's the gift of impermanence. It doesn't take away meaning. It gives it, because the moment you realize nothing lasts, you finally stop postponing your life. You speak, you forgive, you let go, you create, you sit still. You listen not just with your ears but with your heart. And in doing so, you become what the Buddha called awake. Not someday, not after you've fixed everything, but now, right here, in this messy, imperfect, precious moment. Because the myth of tomorrow can only survive if we continue to believe in it. But the truth is simple. You don't need more time, you need more presence. And presence is available only in the now. When you stop postponing your life, you begin to see with new eyes. Not everything needs to change, just the way you look at it. And once you see clearly, once the fog of later dissolves, what was once ordinary becomes holy. And that holiness invites a deeper question, not just why we wait, but what it is we're clinging to so tightly that keeps us from living freely in the first place. There's a truth so simple, so obvious that we often look past it. A truth whispered by falling leaves, aging hands, and the silence after laughter. Everything that rises falls. Every beginning has an end. Every breath a pause. Every wave a crash. Nothing stays. And yet we resist it. We cling. We hold tighter when things start to slip. We mourn the passing of beauty, of youth, of certainty, as if we expected the river to stay still. But the river was never meant to. In Buddhism, this is the heart of all wisdom, anicca, impermanence. It's not just a philosophical idea, it's a law, a pattern, a rhythm, as real and present as gravity. Look around. The seasons shift without apology. The flowers bloom without attachment. The sun rises and falls each day without complaint. But we humans, we fight the fall. We grieve change like it's a betrayal. Why? Because we've built our happiness on things that don't last. We find love and want it to stay the same. We succeed and want it to never fade. We look in the mirror and beg time to stop. But time doesn't stop. It doesn't listen to our fear. It simply moves like breath, like tide, like life itself. The Buddha saw this. On his path to awakening, it wasn't pain that shocked him. It was the realization that everything we think is solid is already slipping away. The body grows, then weakens. Fame rises, then fades. Pleasure comes, then disappears. Even emotions, joy, anger, fear, pass through us like clouds drifting across the sky. And yet, we build entire lives trying to make clouds stay. Maybe that's why we suffer, not because things change, but because we pretend they won't. So much of our pain comes from our refusal to accept what is natural. We grieve not just the loss, but the illusion of permanence that was never real to begin with. But here's the beautiful paradox. When you stop resisting impermanence, you stop being its victim. You start seeing change not as a thief, but as a teacher, because it is only when we accept that nothing lasts, that everything becomes precious. A kiss, a conversation, a morning light on your pillow, a tear shared with someone who understands. None of it is guaranteed to return, and because of that it becomes sacred. Anicca isn't here to take away your joy, it's here to deepen it. When you know the cherry blossoms will fall, you savor them more. When you know your child's laughter won't sound the same next year, you listen with your whole being. And when you know that even your sorrows will pass, you can sit with them gently without fear. This is freedom, because you realize that nothing needs to last. To be meaningful, even the most fleeting things, a moment of kindness, a shared glance, the smell of rain, can leave imprints deeper than a lifetime. In this awareness, you stop clinging, you stop chasing forever, and you start living now fully with open eyes and an open heart. You let life flow through you without grasping, like holding water in your hand. The tighter you squeeze, the faster it escapes. But when you cup your palms gently, you hold enough to drink. Impermanence is not here to punish. It's here to invite you to love boldly, to speak your truth before the silence comes, to notice the beauty that's only here for a heartbeat, and to bow to it. Some people fear this truth. They ask, what's the point of loving if it all fades? But the wise ask, what could be more meaningful than loving something that will pass? It's impermanence that makes love tender. It's impermanence that makes life urgent. And it's impermanence that opens the gate to compassion. Because when you realize that everyone is passing through, just like you soften, you forgive more easily, you listen more deeply, you let go more gracefully. The Buddha didn't promise immortality, he promised awakening. And awakening means seeing clearly that all things rise and fall. But in that seeing, a strange peace is born, a peace that doesn't depend on anything staying the same, a peace that breathes with the rhythm of change itself. And in that rhythm, you begin to dance, not the dance of control, but the dance of surrender. You begin to live in such a way that when things fall apart, you don't fall with them, you let them go, you bless them for what they gave. And you keep walking, softly, awake, alive. And when you truly understand that nothing is permanent, the next question gently arises. If everything will fall, then why do we hold on so tightly? And what would happen if we finally learned how to let go? There's a moment that comes for all of us, a final breath, a closing of the eyes, a letting go, no titles, no bank accounts, no photos, no followers, no trophies are carried with you, just silence, and what you've become inside. We spend so much of life avoiding this moment. We don't like to talk about death. We cover it up with makeup, with euphemisms, with endless distractions. We try to outrun it, as if pretending it doesn't exist will protect us from its arrival. But death is the one truth that never forgets us. The Buddha didn't shy away from this. In fact, his journey toward enlightenment began with it. You may remember, as a young prince, Siddhartha was sheltered from all suffering, until one day he left the palace and saw old age, sickness, and death. 3 encounters that shattered the illusion. 3 encounters that birthed the question, what is the point of all this if it all ends? But instead of despair, the Buddha turned toward death. He studied it, sat with it, breathed with it, and what he discovered was this: death is not the enemy of life. It is what gives life its shape, its urgency, its meaning. Without death, we'd waste eternity. We'd delay forever. We'd take everything for granted. But with death, we are invited to live deliberately. Imagine this. A great Zen master is asked, what is the most important meditation? He replies, to meditate on your own death every single day. Not to scare yourself, but to awaken yourself. Because when you remember you will die, you remember how you want to live. There is a story of a monk who kept a skull on his altar. Every morning he would bow to it. Every evening he would whisper, perhaps tonight. Not with fear, but with reverence. He didn't need a calendar to plan his future. He had the skull to remind him of the present. In the West, death is seen as failure, as something tragic, as something that must be hidden away. But in the Buddhist tradition, death is a teacher. It strips away what doesn't matter. It brings clarity. It levels the playing field, reminding us that we are all, without exception, passing through. Rich or poor, holy or ordinary, each of us is a visitor in a body made of breath and bone. And the moment we stop fighting that, we begin to listen. Listen to what? To what matters, to what's real, to what's worth giving your one precious life to. People on their deathbeds don't talk about their resumes. They don't list their social media stats. They talk about love. They talk about moments they showed up, or didn't, about forgiveness they gave, or withheld, about presence and absence. When death walks beside you, you walk differently. You walk slower, you listen deeper, you love more fiercely. and more gently, because you know it can all vanish in a breath. And somehow that makes it more beautiful. Think of a sand mandala. Monks spend days, sometimes weeks, creating intricate patterns from colored sand. And then once it's complete, they wipe it away, not out of cruelty, but to honor impermanence, to show that beauty isn't meant to last. It's meant to be lived. So what does death teach us? It teaches us not to wait, to say the thing, to make the change, to drop the ego, to bow to the moment, because nothing is guaranteed, except the moment you're in now. And the more intimately you know death, the more fully you'll live. You'll stop pretending you have forever, and you'll start tasting the miracle of each breath, each glance, each goodbye. The practice of Maranasati, mindfulness of death, isn't morbid, it's medicine. It burns through delusion. It silences petty complaints. It brings your heart back home. Because death as a teacher doesn't speak in fear, it speaks in truth. And truth will set you free. So next time you feel rushed, overwhelmed, disconnected, ask yourself, if today were my last, would I still choose this? And if not, choose differently. Choose presence, choose kindness, choose stillness. Choose love, not someday, not when it's convenient, now. Because the teacher is always near, not to haunt you, but to remind you, you are alive, and that is a miracle. But this teacher doesn't only teach through endings. It also teaches through what we cling to, because what we fear to lose reveals what we've never truly let go of. And perhaps the next lesson is learning exactly that, how to let go gracefully, deeply, and completely. If the sun were to set for the last time tonight, what would you still refuse to let go of? An old grudge, a name you can't forget, the way someone hurt you, or the way you wish they had. We say we want peace, but we carry our wounds like armor. We wear resentment like jewelry, thinking it makes us stronger, when in truth, it weighs us down like stones in a river. We say we want to be free, but our hands are already full, clutching things that are slipping through our fingers, and yet we keep tightening our grip. But why? Why do we cling? To people, to expectations, to the version of ourselves we outgrew 10 years ago. Perhaps because letting go feels like dying. The ego panics at the thought of release. It whispers, if you let go of this, who will you be? And so we hold on, even when it hurts, even when the thing we're holding on to is already gone. In Buddhism, this is called upadana, clinging, grasping, attachment. It's not just a habit, it's a root of suffering. We suffer not because things change, but because we believe they shouldn't. We ache not because love ends, but because we wanted it to last forever. We don't cry just because someone left, but because we can't accept that they had to. Imagine standing in a river trying to hold the water. That's how we live. Trying to possess the unpossessable, control the uncontrollable, own what was never meant to be owned. But the river doesn't stop, and neither does life. So what if freedom isn't found in getting more, but in needing less? What if the soul grows not by addition, but by subtraction? There's a story told in Zen. A disciple clings tightly to a sacred text, an old sutra. He believes it contains the ultimate truth. One day his master tosses it into the fire. The student screams, "Master, what are you doing? That was everything to me." The master replies, "Then let it burn. If the truth dies in fire, it was never truth to begin with. Let it burn. Let the past burn. Let the story burn. Let the illusion of who you think you're supposed to be burn, because beneath the ashes, what's real will remain. Clinging keeps you stuck in yesterday, but life only ever happens now. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to that's already left? What resentment still plays on repeat in the background of your mind? What apology are you still waiting for that may never come? And most painfully, what part of yourself are you refusing to forgive? We don't just cling to others, We cling to guilt, to shame, to an image of perfection we've never met but keep punishing ourselves for not becoming. But what if this, right here, is enough? Not in some vague spiritual way, but in the real, raw, honest breath of being alive right now. Letting go isn't passive. It's an act of incredible courage to unclench your heart, to release your demand for how life should be, to say, I bless what came, I thank what left, I trust what's here. There's a line from the Dhammapada. Just as a tree with deep roots cannot be shaken by the wind, so too the wise are unmoved by praise or blame. That's the power of letting go. Because when you stop being a slave to approval or fear, you become unshakable. You no longer need the world to go your way. You flow with it. You bend. But you don't break. You love fully. But without possession, you show up. But without demand, you live. But without clinging. And ironically, it's only when you let go that you can finally hold life with open hands, not gripping, not grasping, just being. So if today were to end, what would you still carry? And what would you be brave enough to leave behind? Let go of the apology that never came. Let go of the old narrative. Let go of the tightness in your chest that whispers, not enough. Let go of needing things to be different. Because real freedom isn't found in what you hold. It's found in what you release. And when you've let go enough, you begin to notice something strange. What remains is peace. And in that peace, a quiet joy arises, unattached, unconditional, unshakable. And it is only from that space that we can begin to live fully. Not later, not in theory, but right here, in the holy simplicity of now. But to do that, you must return to the very thing most people flee, this moment, this breath, this now. Time just stopped. No more schedules, no more emails, no more errands, meetings, likes, or unread messages, just stillness. In that stillness, something terrifying happens. You come face to face with everything you thought mattered, and realize how little of it actually does. The job title, gone. The opinions people had about you, useless. The shoes you wore, the arguments you won, the people you tried to impress. Dust, what's left? Only the real, the raw, the utterly human. So let me ask you something. If your life suddenly paused, not tomorrow but now, what would still hold meaning? Would it be the number in your bank account? The unread notifications? The way your body looked in the mirror? Or would it be the way you once made someone feel safe? The moment you held someone's hand as they cried? The time you laughed so hard with a friend you forgot the world for a while? Or the quiet afternoon you sat in the sun doing nothing and it was enough? You see, when the clock stops, the illusions fall away. The ego, the one that chases status and control, it has no place in silence. It fades like mist in the morning light. And what remains is soul. In Buddhist teachings, we speak often of Sakha, truth. Not the kind you argue about, but the kind you feel in your bones. And one of the deepest truths is this: when death knocks, it doesn't care what you wore, but it does care how deeply you loved. It doesn't measure how loud your life was, but how honestly you lived it. And the tragedy, most people only see that at the very end, when it's too late to say, I love you. Too late to forgive. Too late to pause and watch the sky one last time with gratitude. But it doesn't have to be that way. If we have the courage to listen, really listen, to impermanence, it becomes a gift, a wake-up call, a compass. Because the truth is, the clock is ticking. We just pretend not to hear it. Every breath you take is a disappearing moment. Every heartbeat, a soft knock reminding you, this is it. This is now. So live in such a way that if it did stop today, you wouldn't panic. You wouldn't scramble to make amends or wish for more time to say the things that matter. You'd simply exhale, peacefully, because you didn't wait to love. You didn't wait to be kind. You didn't wait to show up fully. You didn't spend your whole life chasing the horizon. You actually sat down and watched the sun, and when you really think about it, what else is there? We get so tangled in trying to become someone. We forget to simply be someone. Someone gentle, someone real, someone present. We collect more, do more, prove more, until life becomes a performance. And we forget we're not on a stage. We're just here, breathing like everyone else. So if you knew the curtain was falling, what lines would you wish you had said? Thank you, I'm sorry, I love you. What moments would you rewind and linger in? Not the trophies, but the tears, not the promotions, but the quiet dinners, the spontaneous hugs, the nights you stayed up just talking. Maybe we should stop asking, what do I want to achieve before I die? And start asking, what do I want to feel while I'm alive? Because when the clock stops, your to-do list doesn't matter. Your presence does, so be here. Be human, be kind. Forgive what you can, hold who you love, and live so gently that when time ends, it feels like a soft landing. Not a crash, this moment. This breath is not a rehearsal. You are not waiting to live. You are already living. So don't let the clock be the one to remind you. Let your heart do that. Imagine this. Every action you take, every thought you nurture, every word you speak, they're seeds. Seeds that grow into your future, your relationships, your very reality. This is the heartbeat of karma, not some distant cosmic punishment or reward, but a simple, natural law of cause and effect. And here's the urgent truth. These seeds you plant today don't wait. They begin to grow immediately. What you intend matters, because your intention colors everything. Think about it. Have you ever done something just because, without really thinking why? Maybe a harsh word said in anger, a quick judgment, a careless glance. Those moments, they're more than just blips in time. They're the blueprint for what's coming next. In Buddhism, cetana, or intention, is the essence of karma. It's not the action alone, but the motivation behind it. The energy you put into the world. Right intention means living with awareness of this, not just drifting through life, reacting to whatever comes, but actively choosing what kind of seeds you want to plant. Are they seeds of kindness, compassion, patience, or seeds of anger, envy, and fear? Because the world you walk into tomorrow, it's already growing from what you do today. And here's where the urgency kicks in. Time is fleeting. The moments slip away faster than we realize. If you wait to be good or mindful later, you might miss the chance to change the course of your own life, to heal relationships, to free yourself from unnecessary suffering. Each moment is an invitation to plant something that will blossom into peace. But to do that, you must live with right intention. It's not about perfection. It's about waking up, seeing clearly what's happening inside your heart. When you catch yourself slipping into blame or bitterness, pause, breathe, ask, what am I planting right now? Every thought is a choice, every feeling a message. You become the gardener of your soul, and the beauty of karma is this. It's never too late. Even if you've sown many seeds of pain and regret, a single moment of sincere intention can begin to transform everything. You don't need to wait for a special day, a sign, or permission. The urgency is now, because the seeds you plant today will shape your tomorrow, and the tomorrows after that. This is why mindfulness is not just about peace in the moment. It's a radical act of responsibility. It means being present enough to notice your thoughts, and wise enough to choose which ones to water, because intention without awareness is like planting seeds in the dark. Sometimes you might wonder, does all this really matter? If everything is impermanent, why should I care about the seeds I plant? The answer lies in how deeply you want to live. If you want a life full of regrets, resentment, and suffering, then plant carelessly. But if you want to wake up each day lighter, freer, more connected to yourself and others, then plant with care, Plant with love, plant with courage, plant with the knowledge that every moment is precious. Karma is not a punishment, it's a mirror, reflecting back what you give. So live consciously, live intentionally, live so that when your time comes, you can look back and say, I did my best with the seeds I was given. Close your eyes for a moment, take a deep breath, feel the air as it enters your body, and notice how it leaves again. That simple breath, just one breath, holds within it a universe, an entire eternity. Most of us rush through life, chasing what's next, but miss the miracle of the moment unfolding beneath our feet. In Buddhist wisdom, the present moment is not just a fleeting point in time. It's a doorway, a portal to infinity. Because the now is all we ever truly have. The past is a memory, the future a projection. But this breath, the one you just took, is real. It is life itself. Imagine what would happen if you could live fully in this moment. If you could turn this single breath into a wellspring of peace, love, and clarity, you'd begin to see that life isn't a checklist or a race. It's a series of infinite, precious moments, each one complete and whole. There is a teaching in Buddhism called anicca, impermanence. It reminds us everything changes, nothing lasts. Yet paradoxically, in embracing impermanence, we discover the eternal. When we truly pay attention to this breath, we touch the timeless. It's like dipping your hand into a river and feeling the water, always moving, always changing. But the river itself remains. This is the essence of mindfulness, to be fully present, not trapped in regrets or anxieties, but alive in the fullness of now. It's not always easy. Our minds are restless, jumping from thought to thought. We cling to past pain or future hopes. But with practice, that single breath becomes a sanctuary, a home. You can return to it any time. A refuge from chaos, a space of calm clarity. And here's the magic. When you live deeply in the present, you stop fearing endings because you understand life is a continuous flow. Death becomes not a final stop, but a transition. Just another breath in the endless cycle. This is why some of the greatest sages say, each breath is a lifetime, each moment is eternity. What if, instead of rushing to the next task, you treated your breath like a sacred ritual? Each inhale an invitation to peace. Each exhale a release of fear. What would change in your life? Would you find more patience, more kindness, more love? The infinite is not somewhere far away. It's here inside you now, so breathe deeply, slow down, be here. Because this very breath, this single precious moment, is the gateway to forever, and in forever you find freedom. There's a truth that many of us try to avoid. We are dying, every moment, every breath. We inch closer to the inevitable, but what if I told you, to truly live, you must learn to die every day? This sounds paradoxical, doesn't it? Yet, it's one of the most profound teachings in Buddhist philosophy. To die before death means to let go, to release attachments, fears, and illusions that keep us trapped in suffering. Each day holds a tiny death, the death of old habits, old grudges, and old versions of ourselves. When we resist these small deaths, we resist life itself, but when we embrace them, we open the door to transformation. Dying before death is a practice of continual renewal, shedding what no longer serves us, so we can step into freedom. This practice frees us from the heavy weight of clinging to the past, to identities, to pain and pride. It is a daily invitation to say, I release what binds me, I accept change, I welcome the unknown. Living with this awareness shifts everything. Life becomes vibrant because we no longer take it for granted. Each moment becomes precious precisely because it is impermanent. You start to notice the beauty in the smallest things. The way sunlight filters through leaves, the sound of a child's laughter, the warmth of a shared smile. And when death eventually comes, not if but when, you are ready, not because you have stopped caring, but because you have learned to let go gracefully. You have practiced dying, and through that, you have truly learned how to live. In this way, life and death are no longer enemies. They are partners in a sacred dance. To live is to die a little each day, not as a loss, but as a gift of freedom, a gift of presence, a gift of awakening. So today, ask yourself, what parts of you need to die so you can be reborn? What attachments hold you back from fully living? Remember, the courage to die before death is the courage to live without fear. Because when you stop fearing the end, you begin to embrace the beginning. And every new beginning is a chance to live more fully than before. As the sun sets on today's journey, we come to the quiet truth that every life is measured not by years, but by the depth with which it is lived. A life fully lived is one where regrets lose their power, where fears are met with courage, and attachments are met with gentle release. To embrace death fully is to honor life in its purest form. It is to walk each day with open eyes and an open heart, knowing that the preciousness of this moment is beyond measure. When you live like this, there is no room for what-ifs, only the rich, vibrant tapestry of now. In the end, the greatest gift you can leave behind is not wealth or fame, but a life lived with meaning, kindness, and presence. A legacy of peace, not possessions. So carry this wisdom gently with you. Live with intention. Let go without fear. And treasure every breath. Because this moment is your life, and this life is your legacy. If this message touched your heart, if these teachings stirred something deep inside, then join our community at Zen Buddhism Wisdom. Subscribe to walk this path together, to explore more teachings that awaken your spirit, and to share in the timeless journey of mindful living. Remember, you are never alone on this path. Together, we find strength, peace, and awakening. Thank you for being here today. May your days be full of light and your heart free of regret.